Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the GSMC Hockey Podcast presented by the GSMC Sports Network. I'm your host, Garrison McDaniel, and before we get into the show, I would love to let you guys all know that this will be my final show here at the GSMC Sports Network. I have future opportunities that I am looking forward to outside of working here at the GSMC Sports Network. It has been an honor to be here as long as I have since April. It's been a great journey, developing my broadcasting and communication skills through this opportunity here. So I do appreciate everybody that has gone, or everything and everybody that has helped me out throughout the way. And I appreciate all of you guys for tuning in here to the GSMC Hockey Podcast and helping out support. But with that being said, we have a great show for you guys today nonetheless, where we're going to continue with our season previews, just chugging along. We got the Dallas Stars and the Edmonton Oilers on dock for today. That will be the first and fifth segment of the night. My second segment will be talking about Torrey Krug has suffered an injury that will likely hold him out for the entirety of the 2024-2025 season. We're going to be talking about that injury and how that affects the St. Louis Blues. Our third segment is going to be talking about a phenom, 16-year-old Gavin McKenna. He is not at the Canadian showcase for the World Junior Classic here, which is a U20 tournament. So we'll talk about that, whether or not he deserves to be on the World Junior Classic team. In the third segment. In our fourth segment of the night, we're going to be talking about the top 10 centers in the NHL. So that's the itinerary for my final show here at the GSMC Sports Network. Before we get into all of that, as always, if you guys would like to support the GSMC Sports Network in more ways than you already do, use the tips and donations link at the GSMC at gsmcpodcast.net. It goes a long way, helps support out all the creators here at the GSMC Sports Network, and it does mean a lot to us. So if you guys would like to help support us here at the GSMC Sports Network, use the tips and donations link at gsmcpodcast.net. So without further ado, we're going to get right into this first segment of the night, talking about the Dallas Stars, giving a season preview for this team. So what we're looking at with the Dallas Stars is a team that's really trending in the right direction and completely overhauling a generation, right? They had this team with Jamie Benn, with Tyler Seguin, with Joe Pavelski, who has officially retired as of today, and they have completely changed the leaf and made it so much younger, adding guys, Rupe Hintz, who is the oldest of the young guys, adding Jason Robertson, adding Wyatt Johnson, Logan Stankoven, two rookies from last year. So this team completely did a 180 from what we've seen, or to the Dallas Stars teams of the mid 2010s or even the late 2010s. And, is that for the best? I think absolutely so. This team looks really, really good when you look at it on paper. Now, what we're looking at with the lines here, we have the first line going to be a mix of those two generations. Jason Robertson, who's one of the best wingers in the NHL. Rupe Hintz, who's one of the best centers in the NHL. Then Tyler Seguin on the right wing. Left wing, Jamie Benn, Wyatt Johnson, and Logan Stankoven. Mason Marchment, Maverick Bourque, and Matt Duchene on the third line, and Evgeny Dadonov, Sam Steele, and Colin Blackwell on the fourth line. The defense is really where this team looks very, very impressive. We have Thomas Harley, Miro Heiskanen, Issa Lindell, Ilya Lyubushkin, Brendan Smith, and Matt Dumba. And in goal, of course, it's Jake Ottinger and Casey DeSmith, who they just got this offseason. So their offseason acquisitions are Ilya Lyubushkin, Brendan Smith. They add Maverick Bourque. They add Colin Blackwell to the team. But other than that, the team remains pretty much the same as the team that just went to a Western Conference Final, only losing in 6 games to the eventual Stanley Cup runner-ups in the Edmonton Oilers. This team is fantastic, and it got better. So this team is looking to extend the lead that it has on the Central. I mean, this team played very well last season with rookies like Logan Stankoven and Wyatt Johnson absolutely lighting the league by storm. Both of these guys are 21 years old. And then, with Matt Duchene, Tyler Seguin, Jamie Benn, these older guys on the forward core make it look a lot better. When we're looking at some of the contract situations now with the Dallas Stars, they are in a little bit of cap trouble. Of course, they are one of the teams with the highest cap hit at I stand corrected. I must have been looking at the Minnesota Wild earlier. Anyways, Dallas Stars actually has a lot of cap room, $7 million. So they've been very, very smart with their money. It's really contracts like the Matt Duchene contract, the 1 year by $3 million for 33-year-old Matt Duchene is a fantastic contract. Sam Steele, $1.2 million at 26 years old. You have Wyatt Johnston, Logan Stankoven, both on ELCs still. You have Wyatt Johnston on an ELC for another year, Logan Stankoven on it for another 2 years. You do have a lot of money tied up in Jamie Benn and Tyler Seguin, but compared to the other teams like the Oilers, like the Avalanche, with $12-13 million tied up in their superstars, it does make it look a little bit better with 9.85 and 9.5 for those guys. It is also 8.45 for Rupe Hintz. I believe he signed this contract this offseason. It's 8.45 for another 7 years, which is going to be a really good contract. Rupe Hintz is a fantastic forward. It's going to help out this team in the long run. Going to be a real big, real big person for the Dallas Stars for their postseason success going forward. Jason Robertson also is making a lot of money. He signed a bridge deal, 7.75 for the next 2 years. He's an RFA at the end of it. We'll see how much money he gets when that is up. Mason Marchment, 4.5 for the next 2 years, a cheaper contract, which looks really good looking back on it for the Dallas Stars. Another place where they save a lot of money is in the defense. They only have $23.5 million tied up in their defense, 8.45 of it, which is tied up in Miro Heiskanen, who is absolutely deserving of even more than that. He probably is a $10 million defenseman. He is that good at defense. We were talking during the postseason how he is matching up with Cale Makar offensively and is a fantastic two-way defenseman. Miro Heiskanen looks really good. Issa Lindell, 5.8 for the next year. It's a lot of money, but you need to be okay with shelling out that type of money if you want a good defenseman right now. Matthew Dumba and Ilya Dabushkin make around, combined they make $7 million. They make 3.25 and 3.75 respectively for the two of them. Both of them are on 2-year deals. Both of them look pretty good. A defensive pairing for $7 million is pretty good business. Niels Lundqvist, Brendan Smith, and Thomas Harley are all the ones making $1 million or less. Thomas Harley is actually an RFA this offseason, so I'm very, very interested to see what he is going to get in as an RFA. If they're going to just elect to do a long-term deal with $8 million available, this would be the time. What would that long-term deal look like? Something around the lines of like $6 million for 8 years could be a good shout for Thomas Harley. Or if they want to go with a bridge deal, it could be like a 5.5 by 2. This guy is 22 years old. There's no rush for him to be making as much money as, Miro Heiskanen is right now. He will have his time come. And then Jake Onger is on $4 million for the next year. He signed a bridge deal a couple years ago to get that, and now he's an RFA at the end of this season. The Dallas Stars are so smart with their money. Jim Nill won General Manager of the Year this past season with the Dallas Stars. So, looking at it, it just makes sense. They only have one player that has dead cap on their team. A lot of teams have way more. The Blue Jackets have like 6 when you look back on it. So, having only one guy with dead money is very, very good for the Dallas Stars. They don't really have too many forward prospects. They do have Cole Lind that's coming up. That's not a bad prospect for them. Of course, Maverick Bourque, who's 22 years old. Emil Hemming, who they drafted this year. They can like a little bit. Defensively wise, they don't have too many prospects there. And then goaltending, their prospects, goaltending prospects are goaltending prospects. Some guys, I think that they don't have anybody else really in the no contracts that are great pieces as well. The Dallas Stars look very good. They're set up for success. So where does that put them in the Central? The Central is difficult, and we'll talk about it more when we're talking about the Blues and Torrey Krug and that situation in the next segment. So I'm not going to be talking about the Central as a whole too much in this segment, but I will be saying the Dallas Stars are in a fantastic, fantastic spot. This team is set up for success, and it's set up for success soon. They still have $8 million in cap space, so they're not too stressed out of that being a problem coming next offseason. So really, when you look at it this season, the team I think is favorited to come out of the Central, is one of the favorites in the West, one of the Stanley Cup final, one of the Stanley Cup favorites for this upcoming season. This team looks really good. On paper, you have, that mix of veteran and young. And I talked about it a lot throughout the postseason, how much that helps them out. You have that poise, but you also have that young spark and energy in those younger lines. So it's a fantastic balance that they found in Dallas through this kind of rebuild while you're good kind of situation that they dealt with. Of course, they were in the Stanley Cup final only a few years ago in 2020. It was the COVID year, so it was 2020 that they were in the Stanley Cup. I always get the Montreal Canadiens Stanley Cup final and the Dallas Stars Stanley Cup final switched up. It was because the Canadiens played in the Canadian division that year. Anyways, the Dallas Stars made it to a Stanley Cup final only 3 years ago, and they got better. I mean, they just hit with their draft picks in late round, got steals, and those steals are starting to produce on their team right now. So for the Dallas Stars, I have them number 1 in the Central. I have them around 110 points this upcoming season. They're going to be contending for a President's Trophy. This team is that good. This team is that deep. This team has the superstars, has the players that they need to have to get over the line. So this team looks very, very impressive. So with that being said, I have the Dallas Stars first in the Central. We're going to wrap up our first segment of the night talking about the Dallas Stars season preview. When I come back from my first break of the night, we'll be talking about Torrey Krug and him being out for the season.